Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Happy Wednesday.
It's time to do the show.
Yeah,
It's
welcome
time.
to everybody who will be here live and all of those who listen on our syndicated podcast stations.
Yeah,
So
we'll catch that on audio.
Yeah, we're welcome. Welcome.
We're
grateful to have you.
have you here. Back for another Wednesday. We've got distinguished guest Brent Carmichael standing
In the
by,
wings.
so we will be
Yeah.
bringing him in shortly. A couple of quick announcements. We have why are you laughing?
I was just like I told Brent. I said I got to put you backstage, and he goes, "Put baby in the corner." I'm like, nobody puts baby in the corner. You're just going backstage.
Yeah, backstage. It's a different thing, so he's fine. So a couple of quick announcements. We got V8 Group 1 meets tomorrow night. We still have time. You'd have to hurry to get with me and get your data in and sit in that meeting tomorrow night, but it could still happen.
That's for groups?
That's Group 1 is 200 to 500 accounts, and so that's tomorrow evening. So we're pulling together.
Had a really good one last night with your big.
That's Group 2. That's the dealers of 500 plus accounts, and that was a very successful meeting. Very interesting, and a lot of good stuff coming out of that.
Yeah.
And then a couple other things. We got our virtual dealer roundup, which is coming up
next
Thursday. By the way, I
Thursday.
noticed a lot of our material that went out did not say it was virtual. I think people probably figure that out about the roundup, but it's all virtual on the 18th. And Brent Carmichael will co-moderate that day with us.
Is going to do that.
Got
too.
3 sessions, and our panelists are coming together for that. So we'll be announcing all of our panelists in the days to come. Neo User Summit. The 23rd in Las Vegas
We'll
at
be
the
there.
Bellagio.
Come say hi.
Yep. And our guest today, Brent Carmichael, will be speaking at BHPH United. I know on that following morning, Wednesday, the 24th, I saw him on the agenda for that morning. He can tell us better his schedule, when he joins us. And then, and I know Brent also has on May 6th, which is a Monday, in San Antonio, he's doing his presentation for Collect the Cash, Not the Car. He'll clarify if I've said that wrong. So Collect the Cash, Not the Car. I sometimes have to think about what that title is, but I know the premise. And you definitely want to catch that if you're available.
I'm pretty sure that this is a Texas TX IADA event, but I would venture that others that would like to come are welcome.
You better not say that. You better not.
Well, I see backstage, not in the corner. Brent is emphatically nodding.
Yeah, others can attend. Okay, so San Antonio, May 6th. So chance to see Brent's presentation, which has always got excellent feedback and great reviews. And there's a reason he's done it for consecutive years for a long time. So it's good stuff. So shall we bring
I think we shall. All right, Brent Carmichael.
Should have just had you in.
Yeah, we should have just
clarify,
I mean,
correct the stuff as we said it.
Right, exactly.
No corrections at all. Well, good morning, guys. Great to be here as always. Thank you for the opportunity. Always appreciate it. Always good to hang out with you too.
We love having
that.
you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you're a guy who has, lived a lot of this stuff we want to talk about today. It's around the sales department, and we've been working with some people recently that are looking to hire general managers, and we're working with quite a few people who are brand new to the business. And so this stuff always comes up about, what should I be looking for in terms of salespeople? And I know you've seen it where people, hire what we call car dogs. That's one of our topics for this dealer roundup that we're doing on the 18th, Thursday. Is that it's kind of around this idea that, you hire people that are experienced car salespeople. They're coming out of retail background, used retail, or maybe a franchise dealer. And when they haven't done buy here, pay here, it's always just a question about how different is it? So for you, let's start with, if you were advising a dealer to look for certain traits in their applicants and their interviews and hiring salespeople for a brand new buy here, pay here store, what kind of traits would you be advising they look for?
The first one for me is just sheer personality.
Yeah.
Somebody that's kind of got that it factor. Doesn't necessarily have to come from a sales background. I mean, it could be one of my dealers. I know they hired their best salesperson, or what they think is their best salesperson ever, was actually in the drive-through at a Long John Silver's.
Wow.
Actually wasn't supposed to be working the drive-through. They were short-handed that day. It was actually somebody just supposed to be cooking that happened to take their order as they went through and just kind of blew him away with, if this guy's got this much of a positive mental attitude working the drive-through at Long John
Yeah.
Silver, can't imagine what he would do if I put him out somewhere, sold cars where he could make some real money.
Yeah.
And he bought extra hush puppies. That day.
Yeah. That's one of the things that some of our clients in the past when they're looking for people that we've suggested, one suggestion is to have some business cards printed up with your contact information and that you have in your wallet. And so when you run across people, is just say, contact me. And so you're prepared, you're ready to be able to do that. But I love that story.
So
firm believer that you should be recruiting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere you go. I mean, and again, I'm not saying that everybody has bad staffs out there, but there's always that, is there somebody out there that in your staff that may be a C plus, maybe a B minus, and you come across that A, but you'd always be looking for good people. I have a dealer client that every 2 times a month, I guess it is, their managers are required to come to a weekly managers meeting with at least 1 to 3 names of people that they've talked to over the past 2 weeks about a possible position there. So they're forcing their managers to constantly recruit. Again, a larger operation, a pretty good sized operation, 100 plus employees, but where they have to be recruiting on an ongoing basis because of turnover. But it's part of their management responsibility is that they're supposed to be out there somewhere in the community talking to people on a regular basis.
Great idea.
Okay. So personality was number 1 on the list.
Well, you said the it factor.
Yeah.
So what would you define that?
That is a personality thing. And to me, if you start there, I'm arrogant enough to think that I can teach everything else. I can't teach you to wake up on the right side of the bed every day. There's just nothing there that I can do with that. So
personality is positive.
Definitely.
Positive.
It's what the young people on TikTok call Riz. You guys familiar?
Not at all, because I don't.
I'll let some of our listeners chime in on the comments section.
Yeah.
Riz is going to become short for charisma. So we got to all
Riz.
keep up.
Okay. All right. So now Riz, I'm writing this down. Are you writing it down?
That could be cool. I mean, I've got grandkids now that'll get to that 10, 11, 12.
You're going to really blow them away at Christmas.
Jim's one of his job requirements, instead of going out there trying to find people to hire, is he's got to figure out what the new slang is for the younger generation. That's one of his, every 2 weeks, it's like, what have you come up with?
Yeah. And
just joking.
I bring them to Michelle. It's nothing. She's never heard of it. So anyway, so you said, so this kind of personality, charisma, that sort of thing that we like, and understand why you'd like that. Any other skills or criteria?
It's kind of hard to quantify this one, but there does have to be a minimum intelligence level, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, some basic, salespeople need to be able to math on the fly as opposed to, because there's some things there. So, but again, you're talking kind of on down the road with that, and don't want to go into the weeds of are they on time and how do they show up for interviews or anything like that, because we know where that goes these days. If you talk to some of your dealers, it's scary what some of these people that actually do show up for an interview show up wearing. So there used to be other things obviously at the top of the list, but as generations have changed, to me, it always just kind of falls back to what are they like in person up front.
Yeah. But just quick, Brent, Hugo Sanchez, obviously a fan. Brent is all Riz, no cap. I don't know what cap is.
I have no clue. You're gonna have to email me because I'm not in.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things, we lost you. Your audio dropped.
Could be internet. We'll hopefully you'll come back in there. I don't see everything looks good on the settings, so we just lost you on our side. So make sure it's not on our end. But
so if all of you could hear Brent before, that would be our. Let us know if start talking, Brent.
Give us
start
an
talking.
audio test. Test 1, 2. So if you can hear Brent, let us know so we know if it's on our side. And sometimes it may work, Brent. It may work for you to disconnect and come back in, because that sometimes resets the audio connection. So we might try that.
Okay. One of the things that when he mentioned minimum intelligence, and maybe I should hold it until Brent gets back because, it's not that big of a deal. But, one thing that we see frequently with dealers is, I got this, and it's around this old car dog. I've got this old car dog, but they don't do computers. Or they don't, it's like they just don't do computers. And nowadays, how many of us are our team members, are they on a pad or a computer, and they've got to be able to navigate that. Are you there? No, I can't hear you still.
Audio gone. So we need to wait and see if our listeners are hearing us.
Yeah,
it could be
please.
The whole
I mean, we've got a bunch of people listening, so let us know if you can hear Brent.
Chime in and just make sure if you can hear us. Let us know. Odds are it's.
But those of you who I can make the mention, and Brent can use like mime hand signals. Right. Is that with this minimal intelligence, that to be able to navigate a computer. We see a lot of dealers that are like, he's been in the car industry for so long, but he doesn't do computers, so we're just going to need to have someone there to help them. We hear you all, not Brent. This is from Rudy.
That's y'all. That's a Texas.
Y'all.
Yeah. So,
hey, Rudy.
So one thing you might try, Brent, is in the panel there at the very bottom on our panel, it shows from the left mute and then settings in the middle. Sometimes, your settings.
I hear you now. Yay!
So I'm not sure. Something dropped there.
Yeah, Rudy and George, thank you for letting us know that. That seems to be something that we have heard from multiple dealers. It's like, we're looking for someone, and we've got this guy that doesn't want to do, he's been in the car business forever, but he just doesn't do computers. So
which is a whole different conversation, which we're having at our dealer roundup as well around outsourcing BDC. Because one of the things I see, and one of the things we'll talk about that day, is that sometimes the people that are good in person, all that personality that you're talking about, the Long John Silvers, they're great in person, but they may not be the same people who are good at chatting online and doing the stuff that has to happen over there in those threads. And so that's kind of just different. It's different skill sets. And it's not surprising. I mean, the people who have that sort of character and talent aren't always the same people, and they may also not be great at just organizing their day and working their leads and this kind of stuff that comes along with that side of it. So I think for other things, any other talents come to mind? I have one in mind for me that I would be looking for, but you mentioned, because I also had kind of on my list the thing about at least a level of intelligence allows them to be good with the math/financing and some technology. Like they're going to have to work the CRM and be decent on the that side. So
and George Spat, I don't know if you're familiar with who George is out of Florida. If someone has not learned anything about computers, that might indicate that they're not willing to learn anything.
Yeah.
If they haven't, to improve their
this
thing.
old dog learned a few things about computers. So I'm talking about me.
He learned TikTok, which is where we get Riz.
That's easy. It just requires one thumb. It's a single kind of thing.
All right. What else do we got?
Yeah. So I would just say the other thing for me is just listening skills, right? I mean, I think especially in the sales team in a buy here, pay here environment, I would look for them to do a lot more listening than speaking. And, obviously the way I typically describe it to folks who are new to it, Brent, is I'll say, we like to think of this more as a customer service role, where in a buy here, pay here situation, it's more assisting a customer through an application process than it is selling them typically. And I think the conclusion I often would make there, keep in mind, I worked in new cars. I owned my own sporting goods pawn shop business for years. Then I stepped into new car sales because I closed the sporting goods business without a plan to what I was going to do next. I started selling cars to make a living, and I figured it out, right? I mean, because it's really the people side of it. I stepped in and had some success in the sales side, but I was never a real polished man. I worked with some really charismatic salespeople who could just, sell ice to an Eskimo kind of thing. But, it's like we don't really require that in the buy here, pay here space. We don't want to oversell the customer because we can pay a price for that. So I know you've seen that. What's been your experience there?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we're not selling the vehicle, obviously, in buy here, pay here. We're selling the plan, the financing. Excuse me. but still there are some sales skills there. I mean, there's still some closing skills so they can, excuse me, how to understand how to, explain the features and benefits of what we do is more about helping reestablish credit and some of those other things that go along with it. So again, great points. I mean, in this day and age, they have to be computer savvy. They have to, unlike myself, be social media savvy. I mean, they do that. Those are huge tools in the belt of salespeople, not only for buy here, pay here, but in the retail environment in general. And a great point by George there. I mean, I would hesitate to say there isn't anybody that probably doesn't know computer. Well, maybe not a computer, a laptop itself, but at least a smartphone or tablet in this day and age. And it's a great point. If somebody came in that younger generation that had no exposure or didn't want any exposure to that, then to George's point, I probably don't want them at all with us. So, but yeah, it's not the, do you want the green one or the blue one kind of thing? It's here's what you can afford with what you have down and the payments, and we've got to be able to convince them or sell them on the fact that that's the best option for them. So there are some selling skills, there are some closing skills.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously not anywhere close to what there would be in a retail environment, car or retail use. So skill sets, and I keep hearing over and over that our salespeople in the buy here, pay here business are becoming more order takers than actual salespeople. To your point, Jim, that it's come in and fill out the application, and then you turn it over to underwriting or the sales manager. They structure the deal and then come back to you and say, well, here's the cars, go test drive them on these. So a little bit of a different environment, definitely.
Yeah, I think, we would be advising dealers to think about, especially those that are new and setting up that quote unquote sales department, is think about that, the salespeople are really just, when they're assisting this customer through the process, they know the inventory and they know the process. So, their job is to kind of help the customer who does not know the inventory or the process, to help them through that thing and figure out, how to make it work for everybody. And I told Michelle this morning, I was reminded in thinking about this topic that years ago, I was called in on a consulting visit for 2 or 3 days and when I got there, it became clear I was really just there to be a referee. We had this dealership group that was selling 400 buy here, pay here deals a month. And when I walked in, it was like, 12 sales desks, and felt very much like, and this was a franchise organization that had a used car department, and they started pushing buy here, pay here, and they were doing a lot of volume, but they had this conflict, internally in their management team that was pretty heated. You got these sales managers who saying, we got the underwriters won't buy this paper. We got a strong deal here, and they won't take it. And with salesperson did their job and they got a commission, riding, and we're trying to get the deals done. And it was just a mess. And it's like, and you can probably imagine how that one turned out, but it's like, I think it's really an exaggerated example of where, and I told you, I want to talk about how the interest of the dealer, who's the one who hired me to come in and help sort this out, it's like the interest of the dealer versus the interest of the sales manager here, for example. It's like, I'm really trying to think about, we understand that the sales manager has a job, and we understand that some operations grow to a point where people have different responsibilities, may have different pay plans, right? And so they have, that could certainly happen. But I think one of the challenges that we have in our buy here, pay here space is a little different, is because of the ownership that we have in that account after they take delivery. This is why, for people who are new to it, they may not immediately understand from hearing us talk about this. They may not immediately understand the problem that is created from overselling. So you kind of want to talk about that, and it's kind of what you've seen. I know in your consulting experience, you've seen it.
Definitely, there's an inherent conflict between sales and collections in our business. And obviously in a retail environment, we don't care because it's going to one of 50 banks, and we never hear
their problem.
But obviously in our world, we sell them, and in the good old days, they came back every Friday to make a payment. So we call them on a regular basis. Obviously not as prevalent now as it used to be, but we do have to be a little bit careful on the front end about overselling. And I hear this a lot when I'm working with dealers on the on-site side of the business, where I'll hear a salesperson say, if you ever have any problems with your payment, just call us, right? Which is true to a certain extent, but I promise you what our customer hears is all I have to do is call you and I don't have to make a payment.
Right.
thing. So, and again, we're in that space, and salespeople are not doing that to try to undermine the collection department. They're just letting the customer know that, hey, we are here for you. So definitely got to be a little bit careful with that. But I can tell you from operating a multi-state, multi-point business back in the day, yeah, my sales managers and my underwriters did not get along very well. As much as we tried to, it was, I'm paid to sell cars. Underwriters are paid to put the best deals on the books in the best interest of the owner. And for the smaller dealers, obviously, it's the same thing. And then where is that? Like you said, so-and-so CAC would buy this deal, but we won't buy this deal. And you kind of mentioned something there. The one that you went to was part of a new car store. And I'm telling you, that is a huge challenge. Try to sell buy here, pay here out of a new car store. I know some that do it fairly well. I'd be honest with you, I've never come across anybody that I would consider being a high volume dealer being able to do it, because again, when somebody comes in, if I can get them sold to an outside bank or credit union, chances are that's where they're going to go. And as you mentioned earlier, Jim, they're completely different sales processes.
Yeah. And to be clear,
sell them on the car first, and then we'll work the deal. Buy here, pay here is the exact opposite. We got to work the deal first, then find the car that fits the deal.
Yeah, and to be clear, this was a separate building and a separate sales team, but it, it was on the row of, here's Bob's Mitsubishi and Bob's Ford, and then here's Bob's used cars, Bob's buy here, pay here. And so you've got this place where
it's just one big franchise.
Sort of. It was a way for them to handle
because they're right there together. And I get that question all the time. Most of the dealers I work with getting into the business come from the franchise world. I mean, they want to get into buy here, pay here. And the first question I ask, is it going to be a separate facility? And they say, no, it's going to be in the same one. Are going to have separate salespeople? And they'll typically say no. Excuse me. And I say, are you sure? Because they're two different sales processes. They just are. Like I said, we teach them in the retail world to walk around the lot with them, build that rapport out there, but settle them on a vehicle, then bring them into the building. Buy here, pay here. We got to get them in the building as fast as humanly possible, get them on paper, determine what we're comfortable with them buying, then take them back out and show them what they can buy at that point. So, like I said, completely different environments there. And again, there's an inherent conflict, especially since we are keeping that customer to raise, so to speak, or keeping them in a house to collect, and even from the service side of it, as far as repairs are concerned. So we always teach, be careful. Your features and benefits is more about who we are, what we do, how you can make payments, those kind of things.
Right.
We try to teach staying away from 115-point inspections and those kind of things, because no matter how many things you inspect on a buy here, pay here car, Jim, this one thing is not going to work.
Yeah.
And that'll be the one that the customer goes, oh, wait a minute, you checked 115 things and that wasn't one of them.
Right. Sure.
So there's just certain areas we got to kind of stay away from overselling those parts of what we offer.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you've touched on it. I think one of the things that I see, and when we have our dealer roundup, that session on car dogs and car people, we can break down this thing. We try not to talk in the morning show much about pay plans, because obviously we sometimes will have people listening who are, in the management level or sales department, whatever. So it's challenging to talk about this, even though most of our listeners are going to be dealers and vendors. But I think the thing that we see is that when you think about pay plans, we've struggled, try to help dealers, and we'll just tell them, look, pay plans in our segment are just challenging. Like, it's hard to create a pay plan that is comprehensive enough, certainly at the management level. But when I think about a salesperson, I think, I wouldn't have a big, heavy front end commission, because now you just create that scenario where, Michelle's my customer, and she says, I ask her, how long has she been on the job? And maybe I'm doing a paper application. Maybe I'm typing it in the thing. And she says, I've been on my job, 4 months. And the salesperson, I heard that, 1 year and 4 months. God, right? I mean, that's just a natural.
Well, I mean, if underwriting is doing its job,
the salesperson would just absolutely flub it like that. I mean, they would probably say 9 months.
I guess maybe I saw things in the car business you guys haven't seen. I can't imagine. No, I'm just saying.
I would have said 4 years, not 4 months.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, 4 years. Yeah. How long have you been? Yeah.
We would have just fudged it by 1 year, 4 months. That would have been like 4 years. And they went, well, that's what they said.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's comical, but it's like it's a reality that whole motivation that we create when it's my commission on the line. I know I got to get the deal done in order for, me to earn that commission. And so we create that conflict sometimes in our pay plans. And it's like, now we understand why our underwriters and our collectors are frustrated about the first payment defaults or whatever that looks like. It's like some of these problems I always talk about. Michelle's heard me say it, like, we're going to have headaches in the buy here, pay here space. What I try to avoid with our clients is just, let's don't create our own, let's try to avoid creating our own headaches in this thing. And I think we can do that and still create plenty of volume. I'm not suggesting that we're going to stunt volume in anything we're talking about. So all the things that you kind of alluded to are the same things we would think about in terms of, for those who are new, and we're fortunate to be working with some people who are new now, and they just, some of them are never been in the car business. And so they, what they know about car sales is what they've encountered in their own shopping experience, what it means to be a car salesperson. And so we just have to kind of slow that whole thing down and say, this is the problem that we create when we do this. Right?
And that's one of the things that we, what a used car salesman looks like is what we're trying to steer away from.
Yes.
It's
the stereotypical.
The stereotypical used car
I mean,
salesman.
at one time, I think they were with the least trusted jobs was like lawyer and car salesman, used car salesman. They were like 1 and 2 for many years because of that. I mean, and there's some great cartoons out there, some great segments online you can find on YouTube with those guys wearing the plaid jackets and the what they look like when I got into business. Now we kind of laugh, and I'm going, wait a minute, that guy was sharp back in the day. I'm just telling you.
Oh yeah,
gold chain, and man, I got something for you. We're like, yeah, but obviously, thank God, times have changed.
Yeah,
the guy was definitely due for a wardrobe update. But when I was hired in the sales department in 1995, the guy was wearing a green leisure suit. The guy that interviewed me, and so I just
95
stereotypical. So
that's 20 years outdated because it's like the 70s.
It almost looked like a suit he had since he started.
Coming back, I've still got mine, and I know.
Okay, big collars, excellent.
I mean,
Well, I mean, they're made out of like 1.5 inch thick polyester, so they're going to last for forever.
Exactly, they got a shelf life of like 4 centuries. So.
Well, they don't decompose.
If you wouldn't mind wearing that, Brent, to the dealer
would
roundup,
you please?
You could put an NCM thing on the chest there. So.
All right. Well, I thought about.
I want to see.
I was going to try to find a white hat for today, but I didn't.
Oh yeah.
Right. Nice.
Or the jump up or the zipper jumper.
Jumpsuit, whatever.
Sorry, I digress.
I think it's time for us to wrap up. We're definitely following.
What else we got?
No, that's it. We just recap the announcements. Reminder: I've got our V8 Group 1 tomorrow. That's 200 to 500 accounts. Brent is joining us.
On those, by the way, on the success with those. I think.
Thank you. It's been a worthwhile undertaking. We're dealers are responding to that, and they like that format. It's for some we had some dealers say no thanks, I want to travel. I enjoy the travel. And others say, I like this because I have young kids. And so the travel.
Yeah. Well, and I would say that there's a decent percentage of people that do both.
Yeah, there's some. So, we're seeing some of that. So, and then so we got that roundup on the 18th. Brent will be joining us in all 3 sessions to co-moderate that. And so we've got some great conversations. One is car dogs. The other is outsourcing BDC. And the last one's going to be private money, where to find it and how to use it. And then we got the user summit on the 23rd of April in Vegas at the Bellagio. And then
Brent will be speaking at that.
Brent will be speaking at the BHPH
United, the next day.
And so we'll look for both days.
And those of you who are looking for tickets for the dealer roundup, you can get on Eventbrite. We've also been putting out some marketing on that, so you can find it on any of our social pages.
Did you end up creating a morning show code? You remember what it was?
No, but I can share it on Friday.
We'll put it on the comments. But that's all good. We appreciate you folks tuning in. We appreciate you joining us again. If you can stand by just a minute, we'll wrap up the show and bring you back for so long.
Thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody out there. So appreciate it. Good to see everybody.
Oh, you know what we didn't do? I think I probably got it. We can find it and put it on the thing. But B. Carmichael at NCM Associates. Do you have seats available in your 20 groups for Buy Here, Pay Here?
We do. We have a couple of openings in one of what we consider our small volume group, so under 10 million in portfolio. And I do have one of my larger volume groups that does have an opening or two currently. So
awesome.
Gotcha.
Got a few spots out there still.
Nice. Okay. Well, we appreciate you joining us.
All right,
and
we'll put you backstage. Not back in the corner.
Yeah.
So I belong in the corner. So.
All right.
So we didn't put his email on. You can always find Brent through us. Get a message to me and I'll make the
NCM
introduction.
Associates is the website, and I was just perusing it the other day, and it's pretty darn impressive.
And they've got a ton of good stuff over there, and they're the ones who came up with the 20 group process back in the 40s, if I recall. They've been doing it, and they do 20 groups for other industries besides automotive, and so they've got that.
Yeah, I think that Brent does like a Harley one and some other ones too, besides Buy Here Pay Here. So I'm waiting for my discount.
Yeah. So,
we'll talk to Brent about that after we're done.
So anyway, Brent is widely respected, as is NCM, and so we're always thrilled to have time with them and then have a chance to learn from his wide experience.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on this Wednesday. And thank you for those that join us on the syndicated podcast stations. We appreciate your support.
Those are usually available late the same evening
within
or
about
the next
24
morning.
hours. Yeah. So I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and we will see you on Friday.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, folks.
Thanks so much. Talk to y'all later.